Well, we are in game number 3 now here at the Foreign Hope, and Nerchio is in quite a nice spot after leveling out the series. He's spawning in the left position. And to the north of Catalina, playing for Team Liquid, it is Snute, who is looking to get his first win of the entire series. Or not the entire series, the entire tournament so far.
2 more best of 3s behind this. Once more, Scarlet versus DMC is after this. If Snute would win this series and Scarlet would win her series, then she pretty much clinches the top 2 seed. Or not pretty much, it's guaranteed that she will finish at least in one of the top 2 positions. So that would be great news for her. And the last series of the day is going to be between Bly and Bunny. That should be really fun as well, because Bly is the crazy Zerg. He always does something that's, you know, a little different. And I like that as well, because it's awesome to watch Standard play, and Bly is definitely capable of playing Standard. But I also love that Bly never really forgot who he truly is, and you know, he's this weird Ukrainian that loves coming up with his own builds and somehow makes stuff work, which we don't understand why it works.
I love the fact that Bly is really confident going into this as well. Where
yeah, of course. Bly has been confident since Warcraft 3, even though he never won a game in his life in Warcraft 3. He was really confident in the game. He was really nice though. Like, we liked him because he was so nice, not because he was actually good. But in Starcraft 2, he's really good.
Bly is really nice. I remember when I put out the original poll for the community on who should get the invite, I did it by the top 20 foreigners in WCS points. And I got a message from Bly the second he went up. He was like, why am I not in the list? I am definitely top 20 foreigner. And I was like, oh, it's because WCS points. And he's like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to win the qualifier. Straight through wins the qualifier. As soon as he won the qualifier, he was like, I'm going to win the event. Just flat out confidence straight there.
Yeah, I really like Bly. He's a fun character. It's been fun seeing him at a couple of the home story cups. I met him in Ukraine once or twice as well. And above like being a very good StarCraft 2 player, he also seems to be just a big StarCraft 2 fan. He watches pretty much everything. And I really like guys like that, you know. They don't just play the game for their own sake, but actually play the game because they love just being part of the community as well. And Bly seems to be one of those guys. And I like that a lot.
I like everyone in this tournament. I've never met DMC, but he seems like a nice guy. So far, anyway.
Do you know how old DMC is?
I don't. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page, as we were talking about yesterday, which basically makes him a complete unknown entity. Yeah,
because, like, in my mind, DMC, like the unknown Russian, he's kind of like Drago from Rocky, you know? Like, that's how I see DMC right now. But if it turns out that he's 15 years old, then I might have to slightly change that imagination that I have of him, or that image.
Well, for the moment, we've just got a little bit of action coming in here. Nerchio just running two lings through. Snute has also got 2 lings somewhere. Where is his 2 Zerglings? Okay, they're coming over as well. To be honest, though, these 2 have gone for a very similar opening again, at least in terms of where they've got to now. We were chatting, so we weren't paying too much attention, but both with the Baning Nest coming through, both with speed roughly at the same time, both with an identical drone count. So pretty much the same stories we had game 1 and 2.
Yeah, even like sometimes you're not mentioning every single thing. As long as nothing crazy is happening, I think it's completely okay to sometimes just talk a little bit about the players and talk about their personalities. Obviously, you know, if one player is 9-pooling, you don't want to talk about what you were doing last Friday night because that is not really relevant. But
unless you were 9-pooling as well.
Yes. I'm not sure how you would be 9-pooling on a Friday night, but...
Well, playing StarCraft 2, because, you know...
I don't know what's happening in those British pubs of you medals, but...
Oh, we just play esports all the time. We just sit there. There's just computers everywhere.
Yeah.
Darts got replaced by laptops. It was all good.
That would be a beautiful world. I must say, I do like darts, though. The Dutch are good in darts. We see Snute sending out his drone. He's going to try to go up to 3 bases as... picked off the Zerglings of Nerchio there, so he's able to get that hatchery down. Nerchio on the other side is again making a lot of links, and he still has a couple of unspent larvae, now he's using it all. This is similar to KenZy Station so far, Medals.
It is, and these lings, again, are going to have a nice response from Snute, who's got his Baneling Nest down. He's going to see a couple of them coming out. This may alert him already.
I don't think that Nerchio wants to run into the natural. I'd be surprised if he wants to run into the natural, because then there's always a chance where things don't work out for him. I think if he goes towards that new hatchery that just went down, he should be able to get it. He has so many more units out on the map right now than Snute has, so Snute does have all those Banings like you mentioned. This could get tricky. If Snute doesn't end up losing this hatch, which actually I don't think he should, he has Banings, he has Zerglings, I think he will be more than fine.
There's a couple of Banelings now coming through for Nerchio as well.
Oh. The first Baneling from Snute actually connected with so many of the
Zerglings. That was really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, Nerchio's not gonna get this done. And that actually puts himself in a pretty tricky position. He has a few more banelings. Snute has to pay attention, but excellent position there on the banelings, on the zerglings, and on that queen from Snute. And now Snute is in a dream position. His lair is more than halfway done. He's getting his roach horn, his evo chamber, and above all, this third base just finished up, while the one of Nerchio just went down. And Nerchio didn't even start his lair yet. Well, he started right now,
Yep.
but
Snute's so far ahead. He's, well, that third gives him a good macro advantage. He's got, obviously, a good tech advantage. Really, for Nerchio, he's got to be very careful in the next couple of minutes, because he's going to have to drone heavily to keep up. Make sure this third gets out. To be honest, I don't think he can look to attack at the moment. Snute's just in a very...
look at those two banelings. They're getting so close to those four banelings. Actually, in the end, it turns out an even trade, but if Nerchio would have been a little bit more unfortunate there is a chance he would have lost those four banelings against the two of Snute. And that would have sucked. Everybody hates when that happens.
Just checking around. First few roaches coming in now for Snute. He's also got the +1 and roach speed. And this is where the lair becomes quite an advantage in terms of timing. Roach speed probably going to end up at least 30-40 seconds ahead for Snute compared to Nerchio, which gives him a lot of opportunity. Sorry, for Snute, which gives Snute a lot of opportunity to get in a good position. A couple of banelings getting picked off here. Queen may actually go down. Just gets picked off. Still the Ling's trying to run through. Going to get a couple of drones too, but Snute, he's still got the 3 queens. He doesn't lose any injects, so not the end of the world for him. Unless those banelings connect.
Yeah, it's nice for Nerchio, but he needs so much more than that. He's really not getting enough done. He does have a lot of drones at his own third base now.
Yep.
I mean, Nerchio's done a really good job in droning up, and he is squeezing out a lot of roaches now, actually. He has 13 in production. He's still down a little bit in the roach count, even when all of those 13 spawn. Snute is making more roaches on his own. It will all come down to this hold. If Nerchio holds this, yeah, then we have a game on our hands again, but it's going to get a little tricky. Snute's +1 is a little bit ahead, not much, but his roach speed is like a solid 50-60 seconds ahead. It's going to get a difficult hold for Nerchio. It's not impossible, because Catalina is so large that it takes a while for those reinforcements of Snute to arrive, but it will get tricky, and Nerchio needs to make sure that he has a good concave on his roaches. Okay, Snute helps him.
That was a nice attack engagement there for Nerchio, just in a nice defensive position. He is pumping out a lot of roaches here. He's still down in numbers, but once these next 6 pop out, it will level things out significantly. Worth noting that Nerchio is also staying pretty level in terms of the +1 missile attack, just a bit behind in the roach speed upgrade, but that'll make up for when you're sitting back and biding your time.
I really thought that Snute was able to hit a window of opportunity there to do something, to capitalize on the minor advantage that he built up throughout the game. Because Nerchio definitely caught a few corners to crawl his way back into this one, but now we sort of have a game on our hands again. It is like I said, Catalina has a very large map that even when you have a few roaches more, it's not like you can just run across the map and win the game because you have 5 roaches more. So it's relatively even. Snute in general is very strong in this phase in the game though. He's getting HydraZ as well, medals. It's different than before.
Yeah, not seeing the banelings that we saw in game number 1 and 2. What I'm interested to see is just how much of a commitment Snute goes to those. He's getting Groove Spine, so he's definitely going to be grabbing a fair few out. But Nerchio is just sticking on pure Roach as it stands. He's down in numbers of Roaches overall, though, and that's going to cause him some problems over the next couple of minutes. But he did get a nice little boost to his economy, despite being down in the earlier stages, being able to hold off that counterattack. So this is quite a level game at the moment. In terms of the resources lost difference, it's only 800 resources more lost for Nerchio, which, when you're 13 minutes in the game, is negligible.
So, for the people who are not that familiar with ZvZ, Roach Hydra, of course, on paper is better than Max Roach, but in a map that's as large as Catalina, where it's very easy to surround an army or to set up multiple hit squads, it is pretty possible that a full Roach army beats a Roach Hydra army. Because even though Hydras are very strong, if they're exposed, they die very quickly. Of course, I don't think that Nerchio is just able to attack into Snute, but if Snute decides to move out with his Hydra list, there's a good chance that Nerchio can set up a nice flank or something like that and still win, despite only having roaches, especially if he has a few banelings in the mix as well.
Waiting for a little push through now. Snute trying to find a good position. The banelings are, of course, morphing, and this is something that we said in game 1 and 2. It'd be lovely to see those banelings used against Hydras. If the Hydras are clumped, The banelings connect. Suddenly, your opponent doesn't have any Hydralisk left.
Oh, I think this is a really bad fight now for Nerchio. I think he reacted a little bit too late to the movement of Snute. A couple of banelings trying to trickle through, and they do sort of connect with a few of these Hydralisks. Actually, Snute is still maxed out, but that's because he's producing a lot of units. But look at the Hydralisks, they're still alive, they're still pushing out quite a bit of damage. More and more banelings rolling in though, but I just feel that Nerchio reacted a little too late to the army movement of Snute. He will stabilize, but that's mostly because of reinforcements, not because he actually won the fight.
Defender's advantage can be pretty important. If we look at the resources lost, it did actually, well, it definitely went in Snute's favor in terms of overall losses there. The banelings, while they are slightly more expensive, they can be quite cost effective if they get great connections. Nerchio got alright though. He managed to pick off most of the Hydralisks, which is quite nice for him. It means that he's done a bit more gas damage to Snute. But it's still neck and neck here. Army supplies are exactly level. The drone count, only 2 between them. What could end up being a big player is this 4th base from Snute though, if he's able to take and keep it.
Yeah, I like the way Nerchio realized that he was a little bit out of position. If he would have just attack move, it would have gone terrible for him. So he just decided to take the beating for a few seconds and run all the way up north because he realized that he needed a good concave himself as well. So it was really good adjustment on the fly because it could have gone a lot worse. Still, of course, Snute was able to push out a lot of damage, but all the additional banelings really helped up, softening up a lot of those roaches and eventually connecting with a few of those Hydralisks. I still don't think that Nerchio is just able to attack Snute though.
He's up in terms of the roach count, but there's a couple of infestors on the field as well now for Snute, which good fungals could definitely lock down a lot of this army. The Hydralisk count is only at 2, so not really going to make any difference, but there's 17 banelings morphing in now for Nerchio. What do you think to this? 25 now.
I mean, banelings, if the units are clumped up, they can definitely be game changers. And what helps is banelings as well. It's not always just the connections that banelings get. What you will see is that some players over micro against the banelings, and they will just start running their roaches and hydras around. And all the time that they're running, they're obviously not fighting either. So that will allow the roaches and just roaches from Nerchio to push out more and more damage. We'll see. It all comes down to engagement and execution. There's not much more to it. A fungal grove on this ramp could be nice though, but Snute doesn't want to do it just yet.
Nice spread for Snute at the moment. He gets a couple of good fungals on quite a few of those banelings, but they are able to make their way through, connect with some of the roaches. Snute, though, on the lower part of this ramp, is able to start pushing forward. Nerchio repositions his army to get a great concave. Snute losing a lot of units there.
Yeah, but still, the spine is so tricky to attack into. Even though it definitely looks like Nerchio has way more roaches over here. I don't think Snute should be moving out. I think Snute should just be waiting for his reinforcements. Perhaps he wants to make sure that all of these roaches do not retreat. Nerchio's actually going to go to the low ground, which is sort of a commitment. He's going to pick off a couple of these spines. Could decide to work on the hatchery, but that would be very risky and that would trap most of his roaches. Does Snute still have another fungal? Well, he has a couple of infestors.
Yep, he does now. That was one of the other reasons I think he should have waited, because he had got another fungal now. A second one is very, very close in terms of energy, so that could be quite a big moment for him. He's got 2 fungals now on those 2 infestors, so
these guys are really evenly matched when it comes to ZvZ. It's so close. Again, I would love to see Burrow on the side of Snute this time. Nerchio starts it immediately right when I mention it, but you have so many roaches that could have so much more HP. You're basically entering the fight having 1500 to 2000 HP less than you could have had with all these softened up roaches, which is just a shame. That can really make the difference in the outcome of a battle.
Hive coming down from Snute as well, so he's going to be looking to take up slightly quicker. A couple of fungal growths come down to the side now. Snute is not in a great concave there, but he did get the fungal through, able to push back Nerchio on the high ground. However,
yeah, I kind of like it. He's going to be able to intercept a couple of those retreating roaches, picks off 4, 5, 6, 7 of them in the process. That's nice, of course. During all this, Snute is also going up too high. Now, I'm not 100% sure what he's going for. I think it's just the 3-3 upgrades. I'd be surprised if he throws down... yeah, I mean, actually, Ultralit, no, he doesn't really have... No.
He doesn't have upgrades.
Yeah, he doesn't have attack upgrades. I mean, Ultras are still good if you get all the armor upgrades, but I think just 3-3 is the best choice for now. And that's exactly what Snute is going to do.
I want to draw your attention, Rotterdam, to the resources lost at the moment. Nearly 18,000 compared to 13,500. Nerchio coming off a lot worse, and he's still on 3 bases. So, in terms of who's in a better shape economically, Snute's in a good spot at the moment, and that's really paying off for him. It's allowing him to get this 3-3. And while he's max, he can also risk doing that, losing some stuff. Good fungal on some of those banelings.
Yep, Nerchio has a lot of units positioned on the high ground, which I'm not sure if that's the best choice because there is a lot of fungal, so you can just fungal. The first fungal kind of whiffs though. This is an awkward engagement for Snute. I'm not sure if I'm really digging it. Of course, these Hydralisks will push out a lot of damage, but I do not feel that the fungals were the fungals that he was dreaming of. The Hydras are still untouched, so they're pushing out so much damage. Actually, for now, Snute is sort of winning the fight, but that's also, I mean, supply is a little deceiving. He has 31 roaches on the way. He's just so much richer than Nerchio is.
I think that's the thing, is even though that trade looked a bit awkward, there was so many infestors there that the chain fungals just really started to compound up, allow those Hydras to dish out so much damage, and now it's come to a remax. Snute's nearly remaxed already. Nerchio doesn't have the money in the bank to do this because he was, up until recently, limited on 3 bases, so this is going to cause some problems for him when Snute goes for basically the next push, because he's max, he's still got those infestors, they're banking up more energy, a couple of fungals available at a quick glance.
I mean, you asked me to look at the unit loss resource tab, and that's really what is making the difference between the banks of these two players. Nerchio's going to try to make some plays with burrowed roaches. That's kind of cute. This could buy him a lot of time. He has roaches in the fort base as well. He has roaches in the natural, he has roaches in the main. He's picking up a lot of drones, and it would be awesome for Nerchio if he picks up an evolution chamber, or maybe even both of them. He gets the queen, he starts working on the spotting pool. No, don't do that.
He's not going to be able to get one of those Evos, unfortunately for him, but he has picked up 23 drones.
Yeah, that's
now,
insane.
If it was equal resources lost, especially since we're going to go down to this third base now, if the resources lost was the same, I'd sit there and say Nerchio's got himself in a great spot. But look at the bank for Snute. He's got 1,000 minerals and gas maxed out. Losing a couple of drones is actually just freeing up supply for him to make this almighty army.
Oh, there are still a couple of roaches in the main base. Nerchio should really try to use those. Okay, if getting the roach one is sort of nice, of course, because that will keep Snute on his side of the map. But if he would have been able to get the evolution chamber that has been wiggling for a while, that would have just been fantastic. I agree that losing the drones is not the end of the world for Snute, but Snute is defending, and that allows Nerchio to sort of find his way back into this game. Because things looked really rough for him when he was down 55 supply and almost broke. Now he's back to 174 supply, and he bought himself a little bit of time. He still needs a little more time though. This is an intimidating army by Snute. Very, very intimidating, as there's a lot of energy on the infestors as well.
There's also 3-3 for Snute, plus those Hydralisks.
Yeah.
Nerchio needs all 25 of his banelings to get beautiful connections, and
he needs to catapult them into the army, or just like parachute them, you know?
Bane drops would be quite hard to execute, but they would be beautiful right now. No, we're going to be going in. Snute trying to get in a good position. Good fungals already coming out. He's got a grand total of 5 infestors. The fungal growth could be massive. The banelings not really getting great connections. The Hydra staying safe at the back, and that's the important damage dealers. Snute pushing on through. He's up massively in supply, over double the army supply at this stage, and with no money in the bank, only 11 roaches reinforcing for the eOnZerG. This is looking incredibly promising for Snute. GG's called, and Snute is going to take the first series he has in the Foreign Hope so far, 2-1 over Nerchio.